Well, I've been a resident here for 52 years. Some areas have not changed at all, the volunteer, the togetherness of the community. Other changes, of course, more people, more traffic and cars. The new generation has communication, so many things that they used to participate in, they no longer do. You'd rather be checking your phone or go online. But I think on the whole, the community has pretty much stayed the same. All three of my children went through the school system, and I'm very happy with the school system. My husband was a fireman, or a fireman family, so our roots are here for many years for my husband. It's a nice community. You have a variety of religions and people, and which is a good experience for children, not to be kept just in one spot with certain friends and certain people. So we've always liked it, and I'm still here, not moving to Florida or anything like that. So, it was a good experience. I never have any. We used to call it beautiful Baldwin. I don't know if they still use that term, but I came from West Hempstead, which was also another nice community, and not too far, and we enjoyed our life here. Well, just similar to what I just said, my husband was here since he was 5. My father-in-law was a fireman, my son was a fireman, chief also, and my husband. So we have friends in the community through the fire department, as well as the PTA. There was sports available for the children. So all these things parents are interested in, to have their children experience anything that they like to participate in. So. I've been here for 52 years. And so many changes. The changes were with stores have come and gone, or, well, even the school. My children went to the old Baldwin Junior High School, which is now with condos. And actually, the site where this school on was a golf course. I don't know if any of you knew that. It was called the Willowbrook Golf Club. And my husband even caddied. And then the grounds were bought, and they built a new high school. This is the new high school. So I've seen a lot of changes. Down in the harbor, actually, from almost Atlantic Avenue on, was all marshes and no Baldwin Park. And they built homes, and then the Baldwin Park was put in. Yes, because my children went to a school that was junior and senior high school, and it was right near St. Chris's. And they walked, and I'm up by the Rockville Center line. There was no buses. And then they built this school, and then they finished their high school years here. The junior high, they went to this old building that they eventually got rid of. And they built the junior high down, you know. So there was a lot of changes as far as these school buildings. Okay. For instance, the guys would like this. My son told me about this. I guess I didn't know he was doing it, but there was fraternities and sororities in Baldwin High School years ago. And the two fraternities, every Thanksgiving, would play a football game at Lenox School, which is one of the elementary schools. And it used to be an old stadium there. And they called it the Toilet Bowl. which, you know, guys would do something like that. But so that was something that was nice, that I don't think there's any more fraternities or sororities any longer in the school. Well, we always kind of trying to cling to the past sometimes, and that's, with young people, you're always looking forward, which is good. There's some things I miss, but on the whole, the town is good. You had people volunteering, fixing the gardens in the different places along on the roads. They were called, I believe, garden angels, and they volunteered, and they'd be in the medium on a road, with busy road, and they would have to be doing gardening on this little patch of dirt to plant plants, and it was dangerous. They had to bring water because there was no water for the plants. And I understand that the designated flower for Baldwin was the marigold, so you always saw a lot of marigolds. Maybe you passed it 100 times and would never notice it, but there was the volunteer situation where there was a lot of community volunteer going on, like the museum up on Grand Avenue. That was built through a lot of students and Boy Scouts, and my son helped with the roof, and people contribute their time, which makes your town better, you know, whatever your interest is in. So. Well, some things I didn't know where my kids were hanging out, which I'm sure some of your parents also don't know where you hang out. They hung out at the school. They were involved in sports, lacrosse, track, blue and gold. Sports night took up a lot of their time. The various parks or wherever their friends were hanging out, no different than what it is today, you know. Of course, they could call each other more often. They didn't have to go home to use the phone. Yeah. So, but they enjoyed it, and they had ski trips from the high school. That was their first experience in skiing, because we were in a skiing family. So these were the things that I think the school and the community gave to my children and other children.
The ski trip was a field trip?
They had field trips also, yes.
Ski trip?
Yeah. But the ski trips, well, I remember because the bus would break down upstate, and I had to get up like about 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock in the morning to go pick them up, where the bus brought the kids back from the ski trip. Mm-hmm. So that kind of stays in my mind. But they made other trips, you know, so. Well, I wasn't a student in Baldwin. I was a student in West Hempstead. I came here when I married, and my husband liked Baldwin. He wanted to stay in Baldwin. So we looked for a house here in Baldwin. And my children grew up from Plaza School, which I guess you know about, and then the junior high school and the senior high school. So that's my experience in high school. We're going way back then. Well, I think you have the advantage of communications much more than we did. We had a phone. Some families at one time or other didn't even have a phone in the house. But I think you're exposed to a lot more. TV, websites and things. I think you're more aware of things in the world than maybe my children were at the time, because of not having all the communications that are going on. TV was a lot different years ago. You didn't have as many news reports, and where now you have your smartphone and you hit it and you know what's going on in the world. So it was different in that sense. Maybe there was more getting together and hanging out and playing ball and things like that, because they didn't have those videos and the things that you have in communications now. But on the good side, you're well educated in the world and what's going on. You know what the latest style is, or what movie someone's making, or the latest album coming out. So. I like taking my dog for a walk around the Silver Lake or the Baldwin Park. Can enjoy some good baseball down at the Baldwin Park on summer nights, and the concerts that they hold. I like theater, so I seek out any kind of concerts that they hold down at the park, and the price is right because it's free. So, and even the libraries have, even for your moms and dads, there's some excellent programs in the libraries, and they don't cost anything. You're paying for it through your taxes, so it's good to take advantage of different things like that. So I'm retired now. When I worked, I didn't get to do as many things. The adult program here, the adult education over the years, that has changed it a little bit. It's a little less, but they had some excellent courses that you could take, you know, so.
When you have a moment of free time, if that actually does happen, how do you fill that time?
Well, I take watercolor. I do watercolor painting. And I belong to a theater group which has just ended. It was the Freeport Community Chorale, and we did actually full productions of Broadway plays at the Freeport High School. And I was in it about 37 years, and our director just passed away, Jerry Kirby, so that it's no longer. But we put on full productions of plays years ago. But this was before you had a lot of the theater that's on Long Island right now. You have a lot of theater on Long Island to go, and it was competition. And after a while, we couldn't afford it to put a full production on. But that took a lot of time because we painted sets, and we did sewing of the costumes, hands-on, giving you time. And it was something we all loved to do. And I believe you had a teacher here years ago. He put on some wonderful performances at this high school. Much surprising, and was as good as Broadway. And it was these students that did it. So, well, we sang, we acted, and we did something we thought was dancing, but it didn't always look that way.
Oh.
We had very talented people. Some of them have gone on and done does theater all over the island. I mean, you have a lot of talented people on Long Island and in Baldwin over the years, and this is how people started theater, as these theater groups, and it was very enjoyable and very time-consuming. We did 4 performances, 2 weekends, 3 performances, and then 2 on the next weekend. And you started rehearsing back in August for that program in November. So that was very time-consuming. So. I was active in the PTA when my children were going through school. I was vice president at one time at Plaza. There again, one of the things about Baldwin I liked, there was that always getting together. Like for instance, Plaza School had a big field with a fence around, but no trees or bushes. It looked very bare. So we had like what you call now Green Day, or you know, we had a day where we asked everyone to volunteer, donating bushes or trees, and we had a planting day. And the people volunteered and helped out. Togetherness, I think, is the best way of putting it. And to this day, those trees and bushes are still growing around the fence in Plaza School. So. I did not, but my daughters drove me crazy. They both were in sports night. And one was a co-captain, and we had to do all type of research to come up with songs for her team. And I don't know if any of you participate in Sports Night, but it was very, very involved years ago. I'm not familiar with the program now, but you can spend a lot of time decorating and things like that. So my two girls did. Yeah, and for instance, this theater group, you had people coming from all over the island. So it's that togetherness, it's volunteering and helping your town, you know, to make it a better place and give you time. And you do get certain gratifications from that. And so I like things. PTA is another thing. Women giving their time to raise money for the PTA to buy things for the school that they, you know, that they need, or the children. There was a big health fair a number of years ago held here at the high school that they had representatives from all the medical areas, departments, and they came and gave tests to people and handed out literature, and a lot of volunteering there. So that's what I like about Baldwin. That's what I like. But years and years ago, and before my time, they had two sets of people that lived in Baldwin. The people that lived from south of Merrick Road were called the clam diggers. And the people that lived north of Merrick Road were called the stump jumpers. And that's because down in the harbor, you had people that did fishing and clamming. And up here, you had trees. So, and that cutting trees. And so they used to have a little rivalry there about, well, who did better in different things. It's going way back, you know, way, way back. But it was a fun thing, you know. But they came together eventually, you know. So. Well, another thing I missed that was, I should have thought about it, was Nunley's. I don't know if any of you remember that. Well, Nunley's was a nice park that had miniature golf, had a nice carousel, which is now located over by, excuse me, over by the Space Museum. And they had all types of rides, some of them, and games, like one of those game rooms. And 3 generations of my family enjoyed Nunley's. It started off with me. When I lived in West Hempstead, there's a riding academy that had a hayride. And we would get on have a hayride in the summer. And the hayride, the truck was pulled by horses, and we'd come all the way over from West Hempstead and unload and spend the night at Nunley's. We were teenagers. And then went back. And little did I know that I was going to live in Baldwin at the time. When I moved to Baldwin and had children, I had birthday parties there. You could bring your cupcakes and give the kids tickets, and they'd run around and play. And it was a great place for everyone. And people traveled a distance to come to it because it was so nice. We were lucky. We had it right down. And it's Pep Boys, where Pep Boys is now.
I had my 6th birthday there.
Yeah. And the 3rd generation was my son's baby boy. The last day that the carousel ran, we got down there and we took motion pictures of him riding the horse with his father, because it was 3 generations that made use of that park. And that was one sad day when the park left Baldwin. Everyone felt bad about it. But you can still ride the carousel. It's over by the museum, Space Museum. So that's something to show you that people enjoyed Baldwin for many reasons. And Nunley's was one of them.